Welcome back to Artist Talks at SandcoverStudios.com, where we have conversations with artists about art, art history, art culture, and where they intersect with sociology. And today we have from the Chicagoland area, Rachel Scotland. How you doing today, Rachel?
I'm fine. Hi, how are you? I'm
Well, tell
doing.
me tell me a little bit about yourself, Rachel.
Well, I'm a full-time artist, as we know. Um, I work at home. I'm a mother of two. Like you said, I live in Chicago. Yeah, I guess that's the really quick rundown of who I am.
Well, let me say this. Let me throw some words out there just to start.
Okay.
Coco and Magnolia, Viola
Ah.
Gardens, Serena Gardens,
Mm,
Catalina Gardens, Harvest, which is one of my favorites, and Animus, which is one of my favorites. I want to recommend at the beginning of this conversation that everybody visit RS Arts. You'll see it on the screen down here below somewhere. rsarts.storeenvy.com.
mm-hmm.
And you'll see it here. Go there and check out those pieces. It was hard for me to even put Anubis up there because I feel like that piece belongs to me already. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there and let the rest of the world get a look at it. So, where did you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Chicago, but I was raised in like the little suburbs of like Maywood. So
Hmm.
that's where I was basically grew up at. So yeah.
Did you say Maywood or Baywood?
Maywood.
Maywood. Okay, West
Yeah.
Side.
I guess you consider it Northwest.
How would you describe the culture of the community that you grew up in?
Mm. Well, at the time, it's different now, but at the time it was, predominantly black, and basically it was still quiet,
Mhm.
kids running around. So when I was younger, just stay on the block because mom said so.
Yeah.
But it was very quiet and kind of tight knit at times, but they had their festivities and things like that, but it was pretty quiet, at least that I know of.
Now, looking at your artwork, did you have some earlier influences that influenced your style of painting?
um, I don't think it influenced my style, but more so like influence the things that I include in my art, which is like nature, because I was always outside. So that's kind of like a strong point in my art that's always there. Like maybe since I was always quiet when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
there's only like one person in my works, like one figure, one female, because I've always like been by myself, even though I have siblings. But other than that, I don't think too many things outside, like in the community, influenced my work. So
How many
yeah, I think
siblings? How many siblings do you have?
I have two younger sisters and one younger brother. So
Okay.
I'm the oldest.
Okay. It's the
Yeah.
opposite for me. I'm the youngest of five boys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So what kind of kid were you? What kind of child was Rachel?
Quiet. I
Quiet.
was quiet.
Do you
Uh,
know that's common with
is
artists?
it?
I'm hearing that from everybody that I speak to.
Yeah.
Would you
It
call
just,
yourself shy?
yes, very shy. Some people say timid, but very shy, very quiet, stuck to myself. I didn't really have too many friends, even though I talked to some of the classmates or whatever, or the kids on my block. Sorry, that's my son coming in.
That's
Go
okay.
sit down. Go sit down.
I
And so,
understand.
uh, yeah, so I pretty much stuck to myself. Like, I love being outside. I love playing with my, papers, pencils, coloring, markers,
Mm.
whatever, crayons. I'm like very big on crayons. But yeah, that's pretty much what I didn't do too much, stuck to the family. Um, wasn't very active in my school, like sports or anything. But whenever like there was an art competition, oh yeah, I was there for it.
Okay. So
But
you started
yeah,
early. You started early on with art then as a child then.
very because my uncle, he's an artist, so I
Okay.
kind of saw him doing art, and like I guess I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do that too. I would
Okay.
do that, and then my dad, although he's not an artist, he's a mechanic.
Mhm.
And usually when he was doing my homework with me, he was always drawing cars to the side. So I'm kind of, like, okay, he's drawing, I want to draw too. So it's like interweaving throughout things in my life. So
That's interesting. So you
yeah.
had some early influences that led you down this path.
Yes. And it was very encouraged too, because, my mom, she was like, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And so like, I had a list when I was very young. I was like, I'm either going to be an artist, a veterinarian, a judge, or architect. And so, yeah, I was like, well, it whittled down to being an artist.
Oh wow! And you have an interest in interior design as well. If am I correct?
I kind of went to school for it for a little bit, but it didn't pick up fast enough for me. I was trying to get to color.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was stuck on, like the CAD programs and Revit and things like that. And I'm like, I need color in my life.
Yeah, understood. So do you love music? Are you a music lover? And
Oh,
it's a two-part question.
okay.
Are you a music lover, and what role does music play in your process of creating art?
Okay. Yes, I am a music lover. And like when it comes to my process in art, it's like I don't have the music kind of control what it is that I do.
Mhm.
I just have it on in the background to kind of be like, have my mind going while I'm trying to focus on doing art. So it's kind of hard to say how it works, but I just like to have it as background, But, if I do listen to music, most of the time I do like to listen to instrumentals.
Yes.
So like I'm not listening to too many words and then I'm off doing something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, instrumentals more than anything. Yeah, I find that my brain can kind of almost sometimes think about what's going on while the instrumental is playing. Like I can kind of envision like maybe the scene of what's going on, but it doesn't go too much farther than that.
When you think about it, and that's a common answer from artists,
Mm-hmm.
I would give the same answer. The music is not necessarily controlling or
Yeah.
impacting what I'm doing. So I like to
Mm-hmm.
describe it as a soundtrack. Because if
Yeah,
you listen to the soundtrack to a movie, all the songs are not about the movie itself.
exactly.
It's
Yes.
about the mood of the movie. So at
Mm-hmm.
certain points you'll hear a song to describe the mood. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really just a soundtrack that's playing
Yeah.
in the background. And I do the same. And it depends on how I'm feeling. One day it
Right.
might be
Yeah.
uh, Kendrick Lamar, another day it might be NWA, another day it might
Exactly.
be
Exactly.
some jazz or whatever. So yeah, it depends on the
Mm-hmm.
mood.
I
So,
also when I'm also doing my work, I also listen to like Audible, so like the audiobooks. Oh, I love that the most.
oh,
That's like yes.
yeah, yeah. I really
Mm-hmm.
got into Audible when I was driving truck,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the last book that I read on Audible
Mm-hmm.
was uh, I think it's called "You Can't Hurt Me" by
Mm-hmm.
this, I wish I can't remember his name now. He's a Navy SEAL. This brother from Buffalo, New York, and
Mm-hmm.
he's really incredibly motivational type of guy when it comes to physical things.
Mm-hmm.
And I got off into that book on Audible, and I'm like, oh, I love it. But when I'm painting, sometimes with books, it's even weird. I'm a book lover. I love
Yeah.
reading, so
Yeah.
Audible is a little weird for me
Is
to
it?
to read a book that way. It feels weird even saying I read this book.
Okay, you listen to the book.
Like I listened to it, so I don't know. I'm a purist, I guess, when it comes to the book. Then
Yeah, I think it was this one book that I read. I'm probably gonna butcher her name. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. um I probably butcher her name, but Children of Blood and Bone.
okay.
And the voice
Well, you know,
actors,
I'm writing that down right
yes,
now.
the voice actors for that book is just amazing. It just like really takes you away, and I found it so inspiring. It was like, oh my gosh, I have to do something for this book. Like eventually it's going to lead to a painting somewhere. Like I just feel like I need to do that. Other books I don't feel that way so much. It's just like going on a journey while I'm painting. So but yeah, she's really good. She has a second book out too, so I can't wait to read that one. Well,
That's
listen.
a great title. That's a great title for
Yeah.
Children of Blood and Bone. It actually raised my antennas. So with some of your paintings, I wanted to know about your process of naming your paintings, because your paintings have some really cool names, like the Viola Garden, Serena Garden, Cocoa and Magnolia. Like how do you get those names? Do you have a process, or is it relatively random?
Okay, here we go. So sometimes, like when I'm working, a painting doesn't have a name yet. Like it just don't. Or sometimes when I'm working on a sketch, I can have a name already for it. I don't know why. It just happens. It's just different. I guess how connected I am to the piece. It might take a while for the name to come, or it might not. For Cocoa and Magnolia, actually, I was drawing a magnolia flower, and I'm like, oh, she has cocoa skin. So I'm like, oh, Cocoa and Magnolia sounds pretty. So that's how that one came along.
Yeah.
Other times, I have my sister help me name pieces. I'm like, I can't figure out anything. She actually named one of my paintings before, and the name was Malala or Malila, something like that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty. What does it mean? And, I can't remember it now, but, I was like, that fits perfectly. So other times I have to write names down, like a list of names. And I'll just, go down the list and be like, oh, okay, that one might fit. It's just how it is. Right now, I'm working on a series of paintings right now, and I'm trying to figure out a name for it. And I'm like asking, my partner, like, what do you think I should name it? He's like, it'll come to you. I'm like, that's not the answer I wanted. But, it's just how it goes. Sometimes it will come to me at night or like while I'm working on it. It's really a touch and go type of thing. So.
Sometimes it's like that with there's this one painting that I still have. It is right there in storage. It's a Maya Angelou painting. One of I was probably 10 years old, and when I was finished with it, I really didn't like it. And one day I was putting some holes in the wall for a TV mount, and the TV mount broke or something happened. I had to take it down, and I had to hide the hole. So I put that Maya Angelou painting over it.
Oh, wow.
And as I walked past that painting for a couple of weeks, it grew on me, and I started to like it. And I started to see what everybody else saw, because everybody else liked it. But that painting sat in a closet for about 6 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Unseen. And I think the same thing goes for names. Some paintings just are the majority of the paintings behind me don't have it. Some of them do because they're on my website, but the majority don't have names because it just hasn't, it hasn't
come to you.
Yeah. So when did you start as a professional artist? What inspired you to become a professional artist first?
Originally what I wanted to do was actually join like a game studio type thing, like a concept art studio, because I was doing digital at first. Yeah. Well, when I came back to art, I was doing digital. And I was like, I'm going to join a game studio within like a year. And I'm like, I'm going to be, I guess being cocky, a little bit about my skill at the time. But I wasn't looking to really become professional at all. It came to me. I wasn't seeking it. I didn't have like an amazing portfolio or anything. I just had like a few pieces on like DeviantArt. Are you familiar with it?
Oh yeah, I have an account on DeviantArt.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
DeviantArt, and then some of my work ended up getting posted on like Pinterest, and I didn't know about it, but people share things, and so I had an author contact me about doing a children's book, and I was like, what? Like, I don't think but I was like, just roll with it, let's do it. So I think that was like my kind of introduction into being professional, I guess. And I've worked with her for years now. So, once, I was working with her doing her books, and then I had the other authors contact me about doing their books. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm in this game now, doing children's books. And then, I was doing portraits, not traditional portraits at the time, still digital work. And I guess that's just where I was at the time. But stepping into traditional artwork in the medium, I was like, okay, either I'm going to get business for it or I'm not. So eventually I started putting out some work, and then people were trying to hit me up for portraits again. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing the right thing. So, if it's selling, continuously selling, and, people are demanding it, I'm like, I guess this is what it is now. So I guess it's professional or not.
Yeah, I would absolutely say yes, because I've seen a lot of your pieces, and they are professional quality.
Oh, thank you.
If nothing else, if you say, okay, I'm not professional, it's almost like what Charles Barkley said, I'm not a role model. Like, hey, look at what you do. It's incredible.
Right.
So I would say, yeah, that the question I wanted to ask, it was a lesson that I learned from studying art history, and it's something that I do a lot. If I get into a slump artistically, what I do with the time is I study art history. That's how I feel the slump. And the art history will lead me back to being inspired to paint again, because I'll get bored with reading the books and the articles, and then I'll go back to painting. So it's my way of forcing myself out of the slump so I can continually stay active. But one of the lessons that I learned from the Harlem Renaissance era, the era of the Black Arts Movement in the 1960s, one element for professional artists, particularly Black professional artists, is that they all taught at the same time that they produced. And some of the artists, their bread and butter was teaching art classes as opposed to selling paintings. So some of them had a portfolio that was tiny. They didn't have much in regards to their own works, but they made a living teaching, and eventually landed positions in universities. And a great example I could think of is, who's the best example? I say Lois Jones. Lois Jones is a great example. She was incredible, phenomenal Black woman artist. She was early on pounding the pavement with her artwork, trying to get in galleries. And this is when Black folks really couldn't get in galleries. And women couldn't really get in galleries in America either. So it was a tough situation for her. And something interesting that she did, she would mail her paintings to a gallery.
Oh, wow.
They would get the paintings and think this is a white woman, or whatever. They would set up an entire show, and she would show up and they wouldn't know that she was even there.
Wow.
And see the response. She's like, whoa, this is crazy. So, and she made sales that way too.
Wow.
So in a way, it was a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, even in the presentation of art. But the bigger piece is, she taught for, I think, 70 years.
Wow.
She was an art teacher for a long time. So have you ever considered teaching?
I've thought about it, but I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I've tried to teach. Like, I tried to do like a small little mentor thing, but I'm just like, it went well, but I'm just like, that's not really my lane. Like, if people want to learn from me, I can do my best. But it's not really my calling for right now.
Yeah. Well, you could say that you're teaching by letting people see your works
Yeah, like
when
here,
they
you can
see it.
ask me questions and I'll point you in the best direction I can or help you out.
So from the first time that we spoke, one of the paintings that stood out to me was the Animus Piece,
Mm-hmm.
which was incredible. And Anubis, for those that don't know, is ancient Egyptian deity. He was kind of the caretaker of the dead, the place of the dead. If you want to say cemetery, we can say cemetery. Kind of was the caretaker of that in the embalming process. And I want to say go to rsarts.store.nv.com. Name will be back down here again. And look for that one painting and give it a look. Just look. No, I'm not gonna say that. Go ahead and buy it. Beat me to it. But
Like, don't take it from me.
but that painting is it has a tremendous amount of cultural influence, and a lot of your paintings do. Where did you get that inspiration from to go down that lane?
Okay. Um, that piece, I was working on it years before I even did the painting. Well, not years, but a year or so before the painting was finished. I was doing a sketch, and I was like, just drawing at night, like between 11 and 1 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I was just drawing. And I was like, I need something to give me some more grit, I guess. And I need something different that I've been doing. And I normally don't draw men or paint men. So I was like, let's go with that. Then I was like, I need something like, I want it to be fantasy-ish, but not all the way. Something that can connect to a culture. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go down to Africa. I like to put influence from Africa, the culture, tribes, things like that, their nature. Mm-hmm. So with the Anubis, I wanted to pull from a tribe of, I don't know if I'm gonna say the name right, but Himba, Himba, Mm-hmm. It's a tribe of women. And of course, you like, Anubis is a man, but I'm like, okay, we're going to do that. And then I was inspired by this sculptor. I think his name is Woodrow Nash. So I was looking at some of his sculptures and how he kind of used color and things like that. And so I kind of pulled a little bit of inspiration from him as well. But the rest was just me. I wanted Anubis to, or how you said it. I can't say it. I always say Anubis.
I hear people say Anubis, Anubis.
Okay.
Anpu.
Yeah. I've heard that too. And so, I was like, I want him to feel like Anubis without actually looking like it. I want him to feel like he's kind of like more modern day. If he was a god walking around in a more modern day situation, what would he look like? And I thought to stretch his neck, because like in the African cultures, they use, or other cultures, they use the rings to stretch their neck, but I didn't want that to be like him to be wearing like the brass necklaces or gold necklaces. I wanted his neck to be there, but the pattern on his neck to kind of symbolize the stretching, I guess. And the jewelry, I just love doing like really big neck jewelry pieces. So I thought to add that, and scales on the jewelry represent the scales that he would use to judge you if you were going to the afterlife. So that's, I thought, would be a cool little little trinket in there. And in his necklace, you see the galaxy. And to me, I don't know if you ever seen like American Gods. I don't know who they're with. Stars or
I know of it, but I haven't seen much of it. With the brother Orlando Jones, I think.
Yeah. I didn't watch much of it either, but I
seen clips. I've seen clips.
Yeah. So I only seen like a little bit when they introduced him, but this was after or around the time, I don't know. But I realized that they had like doors, or pick a door that, that will lead to the rest of your afterlife world. And so I figured the jewelry piece that was showing the galaxy. Like it acted as doors to different galaxies, even though it looked the same. So that's kind of, I guess, my interpretation of that. And yeah, I just thought I just really fell in love. I love the piece. It's packed away right now. I would have pulled it out, but it was just, it scares me honestly sometimes when I look at him too long.
You know what
I don't know why.
What I see when I look at that piece, and again, below you'll see rsarts.storeenvy.com. When I look at that piece, I see kind of there's a conflict. There's a pulling between the old and the new. It has some elements that make me think of like Afrofuturism with that ancient Egyptian style.
Yeah.
And it's completely fresh and new because the images of Animus that we see are always two-dimensional. And I've seen some digital renderings that people have done over the years of them.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of fresh and new. The long neck made me think of Ernie Barnes. You know Ernie Barnes? Remember the Good Times painting where everybody with the long arms and legs? It made me think of Ernie Barnes. But that grabbed my attention. But I'll tell you what really drew me to that painting and your Instagram page, actually. You did a video of you painting that jewelry. And I saw some different shades of color happening there. Like I saw, I'm guessing, like maybe a yellow ochre and some type of green or something. And the way you tease those colors together to make gold it just grabbed my attention. And also the scales. It's interesting you mentioned the scales. Just a little bit of the background, and I don't get no history lesson right now, but that scale is your heart is placed on one side of the scale and is weighed against they call it the feather of truth.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, and it's weighed against it, and if it comes up, you know, short, then you go to the underlife, you get on that raft. So that part of it just like, okay, she's not just putting paint on canvas, she's telling a story here.
Oh, thank you.
And that's what grabs my attention about your artwork. So a big question I ask everybody, do you find your artwork to be, or your process to be therapeutic at all? Is there a therapeutic element to your artwork?
Yeah, usually like in the beginning when I'm starting my art or sketching, it don't feel as therapeutic as I would like, because I'm thinking, I'm trying to figure out what goes here, what goes there. Usually when I get to the therapeutic part, it's when I'm in the middle of the painting. That's when I'm like, you know, I've already probably blocked in some things, and now I'm trying to probably render it out and make it more final, more finished. That's the part I feel most therapeutic at. Like when it's towards the end of the painting, I don't feel therapeutic anymore. I don't feel like a sense of awe. I just feel like, okay, I need to make precise decisions on what needs to go here and when to call it done. It's always the middle for me when I feel like that's the most it's the best area where I feel like I can breathe at. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it just is.
So do you usually finish a painting? And as an oil painter, this is something a topic that I come across. Do you finish a painting in one sitting, or do you ever even try to, or does that process linger on?
I've tried to finish a paint. I have before, but I'm usually not always satisfied with it because I'm like, I can go in and do something more to it, but I'm more of a layer on type, like block it in. It might be a little rough, or throw in some washes of color, come back again when it's dry, block it in. It's probably not perfect, and then let that dry, come back in and really on like the third layer or fourth layer, really try to get it as neat as possible and more clean, I guess, and keep going from there. After that, I'll probably do like some glazes. And when I glaze, I paint into my glaze. But yeah, I'm more of a layer.
So you're not just a one and done painter.
No, I'm too picky for that.
Yeah, same here. There's some paintings that I'll go layers. Example, say the portraits above me. That's kind of it's a little bit layered, but not heavy. The one right here, this mask, is more layers. Like I really went in. It's a panel. It's not a canvas, it's a panel. So I really went into layers to give it some more depth, you know.
Yeah.
And if I feel that sometimes I'll get into a painting, and tell me if this happens to you. I'll go and I'm looking at this painting I'm talking about right now. It's 36 by 24, and I finished 90% of it. And I'm at the top corner, and I haven't finished. That top corner has been undone for 2 weeks.
What?
Because I lose the. It's almost like you're writing or reading, and you lose your space, and I have to get that rhythm back, or I'll lose it if I don't keep going. So does that ever happen to you? If you stop, do you get like writer's block if you stop with the painting?
Okay, if I leave the painting for too long, then I kind of forget where I was going with it. So then I'd be like, okay, this painting has to sit again for even longer until I remember what I was going to do with it. But I try to, like when I try to finish the painting as quick as I can, but most of the time that doesn't happen. And so then I just gotta like remember what it is that my intentions for the piece, and where I need to take it. But it happens to me.
So before we get into our rapid fire questions, I have one question I ask a lot of artists too, is with everything that's happening in the world today, people storming the Capitol, the country is going crazy, COVID's happening, everything is happening in the world, and everything is moving fast. What do you think is the artist's responsibility today, if any?
Okay, see, I was trying to mull over this. Okay. I was thinking, like, to be responsible as an artist, you have to be first true to yourself first. Okay, you can't, just because whatever is going on outside doesn't mean you have to, change your art all the way and, draw people with masks on or riots or anything like that. You don't have to do that to feel like you are being responsible to your times or what's going on. The first thing you need to do is be responsible to yourself and paint your truth.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's like, for me, it's like, if I was to do that, I wouldn't be honest. My work wouldn't be honest if I'm like, okay, I had to paint a mask on this girl because everybody's walking around with masks, or I had to paint this girl with a picket sign because that's what people are, people are rioting or protesting. You don't have to do that. You just have to, sit down and really focus in on what it is that you need to do first. And that's to, do the work that calls you naturally.
Absolutely. So, I agree with you. And in addition, I like to say that, and I said this in the last interview that I did, I just posted it the other day, that just be truthful, just exactly what you said, be truthful. Like, and on top of being truthful, recognize, and this is my own philosophy, that there are three kind of types of artists in the Black arts tradition, in that lineage of going back to the 1800s with Henry O. Tanner and others, and coming all the way up to us today. There are artists that are reflective, that create images of what was in the past, like these masks and stuff like that, what was. You got artists that capture the moment that's happening right now. And you got artists that paint our greatest aspirations, what we hope for in the future. So they look ahead. So the Afrofuturism, in that one painting, I keep going back to that painting. Now I'm a little, now I got to get right so I can go ahead. Y'all got stimulus checks, so go ahead and RS. But it's a combination of that future, what we hope for, and it's also, that reflective property is also in it. So
yeah, they're all necessary. They're all necessary. But for me, it's like, I don't want to paint what happened already. I don't want to paint what's happening, not really what's happening now. I want to paint something that we can look forward to, or things that may not, like an escape almost sometimes. Things like that. I don't want to have to paint what I see what's going on outside. It wouldn't make me happy.
Yeah. It's interesting too because when you look at, say, other art forms like dance, for example, borrows elements from generations that came before. Michael Jackson is James Brown. He's Fred Astaire. He's a lot of people, in one. Prince is, James Brown, and a whole lot of other people merged. Jimi Hendrix, all merged into one artist. And I think that our only responsibility is to be honest in what we create. And if people love it, or if people like it, or if they don't like it, like, it really doesn't matter as long as the story is being told.
And the rest is just how they connect with it.
Exactly.
It's just how it's going to be.
I listen to some of the artists online on Facebook and Twitter, and they get down on their artwork, and because it's like, man, I'm not selling. I should just quit. And it's like, well, if you think like that, you shouldn't have been in the first place.
Right.
Just get a gig and just paint and put those paintings in the closet for your grandchildren to pull out.
Yeah.
And they'll say, man, 100 years ago, my great-grandfather painted these paintings, and they'll love them more than you do.
Yes.
For that very reason, because it's a part of that lineage. Again, it may inspire them to do some art. So, yeah, so now we'll jump into the rapid fire questions as we get closer to the end. These are just quick questions, get to know the artist a little bit. Real simple. And you can just pop it out, and you can elaborate on them if you want to. Tell me why.
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
Black.
Black?
Okay. I like to wear black. I like to wear gray or dark gray.
Okay.
And I like pink things, though, or gold things.
Okay. What is your favorite word?
It's more like a little phrase. It's just a touch.
Just a touch? From the song?
So much.
From the song, or just a touch?
Oh, no, just a touch. But the song, too, I guess.
What's your least favorite word?
I don't curse, so those words.
Profanity, I got you.
Yeah.
What artistic endeavor would you like to try, but haven't had the time or the resource or whatever to really dive into it yet?
Architecture.
Architecture.
Yes.
Interesting.
I love architecture. It's like I love just looking at buildings. You can see all those like little details or like certain things like the Gothicness or Art Nouveau. I love Art Nouveau. You might see that in my art somewhere. But things like that, it's just those little decorative elements sometimes in the buildings, like old buildings, like none of the new ones.
Yeah. They tried to do that, and I'm going to go to Chicago downtown. They tried to give that old look, even though the building's a little older now, but I remember when they built it, the Harold Washington Library. They tried to give it that old look. It was a modern building, but they tried to give it some elements that gave it that old Gothic type of style. Yeah.
It's another building. I feel so bad. I was like, I live in this city and I don't know the names of these buildings.
Well, which building is it?
Okay, it's like
Describe the building. I may be able to say the name of it.
I don't know if it's the newspaper building or it just has like these intricacies to like the shaping of the building. It's like, it's really, oh my gosh.
Well, the sometimes the newspaper building, it sits on the river.
Yeah, that
it's kind of at an angle with all the glass.
Yeah, that way.
Across the street it's across the way from Jones Commercial High School is right there across the way.
Yeah. And it's also like another place. It's over by the water tower. And it's like this small little castle looking building.
That's the water tower. That is the water tower.
Is that it? There you go.
That's interesting. So everybody go Google the water tower in Chicago. The water tower place is a modern building, but the original water tower, it's an old building. Yeah. So last question.
Okay.
if this moment were your last on earth, and I was the last person that you spoke to, what would you want me to tell the rest of the world about Rachel Scott?
Oh my gosh. Even though she's quiet and probably timid and shy, she's very much a hardworking, dedicated person, like competitive. I probably don't look it. Very competitive, and I try to do my best with my work. I don't know. It's kind of hard to talk about myself and to share my art with the world if possible, and come up with your own stories if you have them, if you see my work, things like that. I don't
know. Yeah. and also go visit her website to buy her work and support her work. Do you have a donation button on your website, or
it's inactive right now, but I can definitely reactivate it.
So listen, everybody listening, if you get an opportunity, go to her site. And I'm going to put all the links in the description below. You can go there, click her links, follow her on social media. Go in, and if you get an opportunity, donate to her site. It's always big to get support. If nothing else, just those views. Go in, like her stuff, subscribe to her webpage, and also follow her on social media. Again, all those links will be below, and some of them you'll see right here, right now at the bottom. Like I said, go ahead and follow her. You can find me at sankofastudios.com. You can find me at Sankofa_studios on Instagram. On Twitter, it's the same, Sankofa_studios. You'll find all this in the bio too. But I just need to announce that July 19th, Sankofa Studios is launching an Aaron Douglas masterclass that will be it's going to be a deep class. Got a lot of elements to it. Presentations, handouts, printables, the whole nine. Full class. You can learn a lot about the guy that's known as the father of the Harlem Renaissance. You can also find me on this podcast everywhere where you can find podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, blah, 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 blah. You can go on and on, and it'll be there. But the links are all down below. So again, visit rsarts.storeenvy.com. Check out our artwork. You do sell prints, right?
I do. Yes.
She has prints, and also she does commissions. As soon as the page pops up, you'll see a button for commissions. So go ahead and get Big Mama painting done for the new year, and do that for the family, Mm-hmm. So, and lastly, I want to thank you for coming on with me and having this conversation. It's been really cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope we could get as many people. We're gonna cash mob RS Arts, and we're also gonna flood her Instagram and everywhere else where we can find her online. So this has been Sankofa Studios Artist Talks, again by sankofastudios.com. And until next time, peace.